So why did I give up on the American dream and move to the Philippines at 45 years old? A lot of people ask how I did it. Why did you do it? You know, these are your best earning years. You're too young to do it. How are you possibly pulling this off? I wish I could do it, but I'm broke. Or, you need this much, you need that much, you need to have enough money to live for 30 years, whatever. Well, throughout my 20s and 30s and early 40s, I had flirted with success many times. I had some success in my 20s, then lost it all, fell back down, moved to Las Vegas when I was almost 32 years old from Los Angeles, where I'd lived basically my entire adult life. And I started at the bottom, was super broke in Las Vegas, but in Las Vegas it was much like Philippines is now. I was able to get a nice apartment, luxury apartment on South Las Vegas Boulevard for, I believe it was $600, or no, my first place in Vegas was $900, but it was a 2-bedroom with a detached garage in a gated community, and it had a sauna, it had a tennis courts. It was a nice resort style place that we wouldn't have had in Los Angeles. So I lived there, and that was nice, and I ended up moving into a 1-bedroom in that same complex after that one got foreclosed on, and they gave me some money for cash for keys when you're a tenant and your unit gets foreclosed on without your knowledge. They gave me $3,000, so I moved into a 1-bedroom, which was like $600 or $700. So back then, Vegas was super cheap. So even though I was broke, I had a couple bucks from before, and I was just trying to figure it out in Las Vegas. Then in Las Vegas, what happened was I ended up having a relatively successful cellular phone business. Eventually, I got on my feet. Those first few years, or probably 1 year, was a little rough, but I ended up getting on my feet and finding a way to get into the game. Essentially, I had an iPhone 3GS, and I was dating a girl, and I was kind of embarrassed, and I had ran out of money essentially, and I put the phone on Craigslist for like $300. And I had tried to sell items on Craigslist in the past to no success, and it would take like a month to sell like a piece of stereo equipment or an old television or something. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be slow. To my surprise, that phone sold almost instantly for $300. And this is the iPhone 3GS. It looked like a bar of soap. We're talking like 2010 or something at this point, when the iPhone was a new thing. And the 3GS, I think, was the first one that had video, and I had paid top dollar for it, but I was basically going broke, and I was embarrassed, and I didn't want my girlfriend to see me go that low and that broke, so I went ahead and sold the phone. It sold instantly for $300, and I thought, there must be something to this. And so then I started going down to like bad neighborhoods and stuff and buying phones in the quote-unquote hood and bringing them back up to nice neighborhoods and selling them. And that was actually working quite well for a while. And then what happened was I ended up getting kind of big. Like, I was scared to buy an iPhone because I figured that an iPhone, I'm gonna get ripped off, or it was big money to buy iPhones back then. So I was just buying like Galaxies or cheaper style phones. And then I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. If I get ripped off on my first one, oh well, that's basically the end of this, because I had no bankroll at that time and I was living scared. And I went ahead and did it. I said, screw it, I'm gonna buy it. And I'm just gonna let the chips fall where they may. And I did that, and I never really looked back. Like, it got really, really big after that. It was a success, obviously. The iPhone was good, and then I just started dealing exclusively in iPhones and Apple products. iPhone, iPad, you name it. So that was kind of how I'm the kind of person that whatever I do, I go all out on it. Just like with YouTube, as you can see, I'll put out more content than anyone, and I try really hard. When I got into skateboarding, I almost went pro. One thing about me is whatever I do, I'll do a lot of it, whether that be partying, which could be a bad thing, or whether that be, something like YouTube or something like a cellular phone business, or, skateboarding, you name it. I don't usually halfway things. So anyways, long story short, I became successful with cellular phones, like pretty successful. Like, I was having some big months, and I was dealing exclusive with iPhones. I would have tons of phones. I can maybe make the thumbnail a picture of the inventory that I had at one point. and I got pretty big. Like I was pretty getting well known with all the store owners, and I was basically about as big as anyone could be in the city of Las Vegas without owning a brick and mortar store at that time. And so basically that was my, my come up in Vegas, and that's how I got on my feet. And then essentially after years and years and years of doing that and having some good success, getting a Mercedes S550, living in a couple skyscrapers, living in some really luxury places, and kind of, dining out at the Bacchanal buffet and, the fancy, definitely like on your feet, like you made it. You're not rich, you don't like own a home or anything, but you can certainly do better than most people with a job. You're definitely like able to take care of yourself. You can have a girlfriend, you can live in the skyscraper, you can drive one of the fancy cars, you can eat at the $60 buffet, you can kind of play big shot, but you always got to keep your nose to the grind. Like you can't really like go out of town for 2 weeks or anything, because you need that money all the time, coming in and coming out. You know what I mean? Even if you're having a big month, you're throwing out a big, your rent's $2,000 with utilities, you're having to replace your Mercedes, repair your Mercedes all the time. You're not just like, able to just, I'm going to Hawaii for a couple weeks. Like you're a legitimately successful person. You're like, got to work every day and grind it out and make that, however many hundreds of dollars or whatever you can do that day. So that was kind of the grind that I was stuck in, like in my 30s and 40s of just, mid 30s to early 40s of just, okay, I'm kind of that guy. Like I got the white Mercedes and I got the skyscraper, and I can kind of, eat wherever I want. And if I want to take a quick trip to LA, I can do it. But I'm not like legitimately rich. I don't like own a home, and I'm not able to like, head off for a month to the Philippines or to, Hawaii or Costa Rica or something. I'm not really that kind of rich. I'm like hood rich, as we would call it, or another word that I won't say, rich. So that's basically where I was at with it. It was like I wasn't rich, but I could look rich. Like I looked rich. People thought I was rich because of my car and my residence. But in reality, I had to grind every single day to maintain that. And I wasn't like a big vacation guy or anything. So then at a certain point, I realized, you're almost 45 years old. And you're basically just living to run this business. Like when you're running a business at a high level like that, you're basically, you're buying the phones, you're cleaning them up, you're listing them on public platforms, you're listing them for sale locally, you're putting them on eBay, you're, running ads, you're fielding people to buy from. It's really like a big grind. Like you basically need to hire a staff, or you're going to be going nonstop. And basically I was just going nonstop, and I was just living to run this business, which was kicking out good money. But in the United States, to live at the level that I was living, Mercedes S550 repairs, 91 octane gas, insurance, rent in high rises, eating out at fine dining places, partying, having a girlfriend, whatever, you have to kick out that big money too, however much it is. You're making $3,000 a month, it's going out. You're making $4,000 a month, it's going out. $5,000, it's basically just treading water. You're just spending what you're making and living paycheck to paycheck. Although it wasn't a paycheck, it's just, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month. So then I started to realize you don't really have that much quality of life, or you're not really able to do that much, because you have to run this business all the time. And I realized that what's the most important is really like enjoying your day and smiling and having a good time, not just, how much money did I make? Did I make X amount this day? And did my business, did I sell 3 phones, and did I buy 5 phones or whatever? Like at a certain point, you have to think about, did I smile today? Did I laugh today? Did I hang out with my friends today, my loved ones? Did I see my father or my sister? Did I see my girlfriend? Did I walk a beach, or did I, get some exercise, or just, did I even really smile or enjoy life, or see loved ones, or really have a good life? And the answer to that was really no. I was more or less just a ruthless, diehard businessman who was, wanting to be one of the top cellular phone guys in this major competitive city, which I was like one of the original guys that did this. And there was a lot of guys that came behind me and got super successful, because they would hire teams of buyers, and they had bigger capital than me, or they were from other countries, so they would ship the phones that they bought back to their home country and make massive profits. So, I'm definitely one of the originals and still one of like the top 10 guys, but there was a lot of people that came behind me that realized that you never needed to work a regular job. You could be a buyer and seller of anything, whether it was Xboxes, iPhones, you know, Galaxy phones, computers. There's many stores that do this, and there was many guys that were just renegades out there just doing this. And Craigslist was the golden era. Then we switched to OfferUp, and you know, you do online platforms like eBay. You got stuff like Letgo. These are different apps in my country. But yeah, at the end of the day, it got to a point where I wasn't enjoying life. And I realized that no matter what I did, I was never going to be big, like having the mansion and the Bentley and all the stuff that I dreamed of as a little kid, because my grandparents were super rich. By the way, don't think that I'm rich, because they left me $2,000. But they had a place in the Pacific Palisades, they had a place in Malibu, they were famous, they had a Rolls Royce and, you know, many other nice cars. So it was like, am I ever gonna be that person? You know what I mean? Am I ever gonna hit those heights, or even anywhere even remotely near that? Like, am I ever gonna own a home from this? Am I ever gonna own that fancy car, that, you know, that real $300,000, you know, Ferrari or Lamborghini, or, you know, all that stuff? And then I realized, no, you're never gonna hit that level. By the time you're 45, you're pretty much what you're gonna be. You're not going to get much bigger. You could, it's a possibility, you know, you could try to pivot and do another route, but do I really care? What's more important? And I realized I'm never going to get there, and I honestly don't care. The difference between a 10,000 square foot house, you know, and a 14, 16, 2,000 square foot house isn't really that much, as long as there's love in that house, or as long as you are spending time smiling, walking the beach, doing whatever it is that makes you happy and whatever your little heart desires. It really doesn't make that much of a difference. I've hung around in my grandparents' 10,000 square foot house, and I've hung around in my own 1,800 square foot house. You know what? It is what it is, man. If you ain't happy and you're lonely, or you don't have any friends, or you're living to work, it's nothing. It's nothing, man. And I realized I'm never gonna hit those pinnacles. I'm never gonna hit those levels. And that's when I started planning my exit. I said, you know what? This ain't worth it, and there is another way. I had dated many girls from all over the world, mainly a Thai woman, and we had discussed, you know, me moving to Thailand, and you know, she lived in the United States, but we had just discussed. I said, oh, do you think they would like me in Thailand? And she was like, you know, nervously admitted that I would have a very easy time in Thailand, and that women would like me, and you know, the prices are good, and you can live in a high rise for nothing, and you know, all that stuff. And then I started to investigate that when I started to plan my exit, like around 44, and knowing that I had a couple bucks and I didn't really have to do this. And I just discovered the Philippines, and I said, oh, they speak English in the Philippines, interesting. And I just kind of, you know, started to investigate the Philippines, and I liked what I saw. I liked what I saw with the Thailand stuff, but I also liked what I saw with the Philippines. And I just renewed my passport, and I was still kind of thinking Thailand and stuff. And then I kept putting it off. I put it off for 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 7 months. And then I realized, oh man, you're about to be 46, man. And you're just in this same thing. And like I said, I don't even care to get there, and I'm never gonna get there. And I could live an excellent quality of life on a beach somewhere, or in a city, or both, like I now have made a reality. And I just made my exit. I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy a ticket. One night late at like 3 in the morning, I said, screw it. I'm just gonna buy a ticket, man. What's the worst that could happen? I'll go out there and lose 3 to 5 grand, and I'll come home and get back to grinding to never make it to those pinnacles of, you know, Rolls Royces in the driveway, and, you know, the 14 car garage, or whatever, you know, the 14 room mansion, or whatever you want to call it. So at the end of the day, I just said, screw it, man. I'm gonna give it a go. My passport's strong, I could always go home. And that's how I gave up on the American dream and moved to Bonifacio Global City and the white shores of Boracay at 45 years old in 2022. All right, guys, I hope you like that story. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I will catch you on the next one.